Everybody, look who's back. The world
Woo!
traveler, all the way back from Florida, telling me all about that beautiful weather down there. I had to call my buddy Danny Lynch and find out what the weather's like. And he said, Dave, it's sweaty, sweaty, sweaty. He goes, it's not too hot, but it's sweaty. I'm all, that's exactly what Bill Varney said. Gang, it's Okuma Wednesday. We always talk about Okuma products on Wednesday. Today's no different. Today is Okuma Wednesday. We got a cool product to talk about, the Kavala reel. We'll show you a little video. And it's a great reel for rockfish fishing. We'll show you that in a little bit. We'll talk about it. And then we're going to talk a lot about surf fishing and a lot about this meeting coming up because Bill Varney sent me some information. My sister sent me some information. I'm shaken. I'm so upset. For some strange reason, out of nowhere now, all these people that want to close fishing are back and they're super active again. So one of our followers, Bill, one of our members of our website, Lisa, she had a great idea, challenge to everybody. Let's all bring a friend to this meeting on the 16th and 17th. It's a challenge. Everybody should bring a friend. What are we talking about? We're talking about the Fish and Game Commission meeting on the 16th and 17th. And Bill, you and I were talking last night a little bit about it. Did you go look at the agenda? Are you blown away at all the crap they got shoved in there?
It's unbelievable. Their original agenda that came out that we looked at had all of its specific categories, a lot to cover in 2 days. But just like last meeting, right before the meeting occurs, 1 week or so before the meeting occurs, we're going to redo the agenda and we're going to cram a whole bunch of stuff in there. So it makes it really difficult for public comment to have time to do public comment, and it makes it really hard for us to, as a commission, to expand our time, to take more time to talk about the science that we're using to make this decision. So that's really worrisome. It's like going to work and your boss told you yesterday, okay, we got 7 things to accomplish on Friday before you go home for the weekend. And then you show up at work and he said, I've got 17 things for you to accomplish. I'm sorry, I got the numbers wrong.
Oh, it's every one of those things on the agenda matter so much. Each one of them needs a day or 10 days or a month or a year. They all need time, and they're just shoveling this stuff down our throats. And I believe, you and I haven't had a second to talk about it, but I believe they got to shovel all this stuff because all the free money has disappeared, Bill. And these people don't care about the environment. They're only there for one reason. Do, re, mi, money. And so they got to shovel all this crap. And I'd like to call it a different word, but we don't cuss on this show. But they got to shovel all this stuff down our throats here. And they got 2 days to shovel it down there. And then they're all going to go back and just sit at home and do what they do and get that do, re, mi free money.
That's I don't know the MO, but I do know one thing is that when you have serious people and you have serious decisions to make, you don't make those quickly. And when you have a decision that affects the public, of course, there's 1 million in the state of California, there's 1 million licensed fishermen, anglers, and those people all have a stake in it, right? So you don't take a subject like I'm going to close down a whole species of fish and take your 2 hours at the most to talk about it, at the very most. And if you have 50 people speaking and everybody talks for a minute, there's an hour of it right then when, as you've seen, they sit there and look at their phones or go to the bathroom or get something for lunch when the public's talking about what knowledge they have about the subject, their feelings about the subject, how it's going to affect them in the future. So when they take it in at the last minute, they cram all this stuff in, it just shows you just have so little time left to talk about, really in an educational, intellectual way about each one of the subjects. So it's worrisome, and we're just going to have to see how it works out, but it doesn't look like the system's going to change whatsoever.
No, it's just I think that they just, as we look, you and I saw in the last meeting, there's only 5 people there. I bet you there isn't all 5 of them don't show up on the 16th and 17th, because at the end of the day, it's money. And the question I would ask, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't ask this, but the question I would keep bringing up maybe whenever we have our 1 whole minute to talk, how many of you people are not being paid to be at the meeting? Then we can find out who really cares about this subject, because we're not getting paid. You're not getting paid. I'm not getting paid. As a matter of fact, being a part of this thing actually cost us money. It cost us money to go to the meetings or take time out of our day, or how many of our followers take the day off from work because they want to be able to take their kids and their grandkids fishing. So many of us, like when my sister goes and the sport fishing landings all show up there, that's all on their own money. And the people that are in there that are wanting to close it, there is not one person there that wants to close it that isn't getting paid to say that. Think about that, folks. Just
that's
scared the hell out of you.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. You know, the odd thing, Dave, is that if the commission was managing the resource in such a manner as we as anglers, or just as the general public, you don't even have to be a licensed angler, viewed the work that they're doing as a success, and as what you believe or what you've seen empirically through your life out on the water, as moving it forward, making it better for more generations, making it better for our grandchildren, we wouldn't even be going to the meetings. We wouldn't even be talking about the meetings if we saw that they were doing the job that we expect them to do. I mean, it's like our local police department. They're out doing the job they expect to do, and we don't have to watch over them or call them every day and tell them we don't think they're doing it right, or take this into consideration, because we can rely upon them doing what we trust them to do for all of us as citizens. But that's why we're on these calls and watching the commission, is because we don't believe in what they're doing. We cannot see the results of what they're doing as being positive toward not only the anglers, but the environment itself. And that's why we have to constantly watch them and be on their back and try to push them. And unfortunately, we have such little leverage. We've got more now that we've got more people involved, but prior to that, we had zero leverage. We'd go in and say, this is what we feel about it. They say, we're going to consider the subject. And then as soon as a Zoom call was off, 5 minutes later on their website would be an answer exactly the opposite of what we had asked for. So that's all we can do, is go in and give them our opinion, and hopefully one of these days they'll listen to it.
Yeah, it just, now as I get deeper and deeper into this whole process, and gang, if any of you knew me 10, 12, 15, 20, 30 years ago, you would never in your wildest imagination think that anybody would be calling on Dave to get involved in this thing. And it's just, for me, it just is absolutely opening my mind to this whole thing that I didn't even know anything about. Why are all these people so hell-bent on closing something that actually saves people's lives and actually puts a smile on their face? It has zero effect of the population of the animals, the fish. It has zero effect. Bill Varney, Dave Hansen, Lisa, John Stanley, Bo, Cubby going fishing with their fishing pole has zero effect of anything negative. It affects nothing negative. It's all a super positive thing. And I just cannot wrap my head around how there are powers, and I call them evil. The people that want to close this, they're evil. They're just evil people with no reasoning at all. They quote things like science, which we know isn't true. We know it's not true. This survey that you and I looked at yesterday a little bit, this new dive survey that they're shoveling down your throat right now. This is a guy who's younger than my youngest son, who's telling you he has all this experience. He has all this experience diving in places that the animal doesn't live, and tracking the animal. The barred sand bass doesn't even live where this guy's surveys are being conducted at. You have this holdover, these little baby fish that held over during the spawning back 12, 15 years ago, and they decided to live on these rocks, but that's not where they live. But this is the guy that's telling us, well, I've done 18 dives, and I can tell you those fish aren't here. Dude, you can't tell me anything. You have no knowledge. I want to know what Bill Varney sees as far as surf fishing goes. Bill, what are you seeing with the barred surf perch, or what are you seeing with the corbina, or what are you seeing when you're down there? I don't want to know what Bill's seeing with the sand bass. Bill's not fishing where they live. I don't want to know what Bill knows. I love Bill, and I want to know what he knows about grunion, the mole crab, the sand fleas. You guys call them sand crabs. I want to know about the innkeeper worms. I want to know about all the stuff that lives on the beach from Bill Varney, not from Joe Blow from Idaho, who surf-fished with his brother 7 times in the last 42 years. I want to know what Bill knows. That's how I want to get my science and my information. And that's what we're trying to get from these people, is where is this science that you guys are quote unquote saying? It's not real. And it'll behoove you all to be at that meeting on the 16th and 17th. And Bill and I, we don't want to talk about it this whole show. We want to talk about fun and surf fishing in this bitchin' weather. But we both got a bug in our bun right now because of these videos that keep getting pumped in front of us, right, Bill?
Well, absolutely. And, for example, in these videos, which is, it's the typical thing where people just go out, act like they're knowledgeable about a certain subject, spew their baloney about it, and there's no way for 90% of the population to know that they're not telling the truth. They're so good at talking that they seem that everything comes out of their mouth is the truth, which is not. Now, one of the things that they brought up here is that they said, oh, we have tagged fish and we haven't seen many fish near shore go across the international boundary into Mexico. Well, maybe, Dave, one of the reasons is that when the sand bass migrate to Mexico, they're migrating in 1,000 feet of water, because if they got anywhere close to land, the Tijuana Slough, which we allow to dump billions of gallons of raw sewage, dead bodies, dead animals, clothes, trash into the ocean near Coronado. For some reason, Dave, the fish don't like to swim through there. I don't really understand why. I wouldn't mind having a diving board in my cesspool, but they certainly don't want to. So their science is fake. It's unrealistic. It's not challenged. It's not been made to the available to the public, and there's no peer review of it. So other than that, it's perfectly legitimate science.
Yeah, Lisa missed you, Bill.
Thank you, Lisa.
Hear more about your trip.
Thank you. I missed you too.
Bill and I are going to talk about this, and on the 16th and 17th, we'll be doing our podcast. Why the meeting is going on. So Bill and I will be with you both days. Hopefully, Bill, I'm just throwing you under the bus, but we're going to be here doing commentary as the meeting's going on, and we'll click over to the meeting, then we'll click back onto the show. This is very, very, very important. Lisa, Cubby, T Wood, all of you that are listening, JPK, this is super important right now, because this is the whole paradigm has shifted, gang, as you see with what's going on in the world right now. We, the people, actually have a voice in a lot of this stuff. And the 1/10 of 1% of these people that don't know which bathroom to use and all the other things that are crazy, don't know which team to get on, what sport, that they're not winning anymore. There's a paradigm shift right now. And this meeting is going to be very imperative for all of us in the fishing industry to be involved in this. And so we're going to do our very best to keep you adept of the situation. We're going to be live on the air during the meeting, because it's going to be super important for us to all be involved, to show that we're not going to let them steamroll us and take more of the ocean. They want to expand the MPAs. Besides the sand bass, which scares the hell out of me, They want to close more of the ocean without any studies to even see if any of the closures ever worked, Bill.
Absolutely. We're going to get more into that. When Dave and I saw that they had spent tens of thousands of dollars, citizens' dollars, taxes, on providing these electronic overlay maps that allow them to show where the current MPAs are, where the proposed ones are, where the kelp is, where the eelgrass, all of this stuff about how they can manage the resource, that really made us nervous about the fact that they can easily come up with facts and figures and things based on this electronic overlay. So we're going to get a better look at that. But just to give everybody one example of what's going to happen, which really breaks my heart, I can't tell you, is in Morro Bay. When you go to Morro Bay and you go out on the point where the rock is, there's a beach to the right. It's called Coleman Beach. You can park there. It's got a huge free dirt parking lot. You can surf there and you can fish all along that beach. It's a beautiful beach. There's really good big barred perch fishing there. And there's excellent striper fishing along there, especially right now in the spring. They are looking to close that off from the rock all the way up a couple of miles up the beach. If you go to that same area and you look across the street, that's the harbor. You can't fish the harbor. And the sand spit that comes out from the harbor, not only can you not get to it, but much of it's also closed. So they would basically close off all of the fishing along the beach at Morro Bay. So if you lived in Atascadero, Paso Robles, San Luis Obispo, any of those inland areas from Morro Bay, there'd be no reason for you to drive down to the water there to go fishing, because they're not going to allow it. It's going to be closed for absolutely no reason. And the pressure there, Dave, I've given many on the beach seminars there, and I'll go there both in the springtime and then in September, October, kind of the end of their high season. There might be 4 or 5 or 6 people spread out on a mile or two along that beach fishing. Zero pressure. There is absolutely no way somebody with a hook and a line and a fishing rod can make any impact on surf fishing that beach, and they want to close it all down so you can't go there anymore. And that's just one of the many areas they want to add to the closures. Now remember, 38% of the coast is already closed under the MPA, MLPA process with MPAs. You add to that Vandenberg Air Force Base, Camp Pendleton, and all the private land that's owned. You have really the best spots, and about 50% of all the fishing in California already closed down now.
It's pretty scary, gang. If you we're not. I know there's a big push. Oh, the commercial fishermen have raped the ocean. Well, the United States of America eats more seafood than any other country in the world, but we're not allowed to buy our own seafood. This tariff thing is really going to help out the American commercial fishermen, because China's been flooding our markets with unsustainably caught fish for a very long time. When you go to the big box stores, you're buying product of other countries. You're not buying products of the United States, because they dump all their garbage into our country, and therefore it affects the commercial fishermen. But these areas that Bill's talking about, that I'm talking about, these areas aren't commercially fished anyway. So to think that Bill Varney with his fishing pole and his sand crab and his little sinker throwing it out there is going to have an adverse effect of the population ever, let alone tomorrow, that's just absolutely ridiculous. But forget all that we're talking about. Do yourself a favor. Those of you that went on to the meetings last 2 times that we talked about them, I've gotten many, many emails and many messages and text messages from people going, I had no idea how filthy these people are. You got to go to you got to watch this process, gang, and you'll just go, huh? These are those 5 people have never been outside that are making all the decisions.
Dave, it's unbelievable. It's like, going to PCS show and you got Frank Lopresti on stage, and then you got 5 of the top captains in the fleet on stage, and you have a question, you're going to get the best answers in the world. Those are the most knowledgeable people in the world, if that's something you'd be interested in. And then you go and watch the commission, and I really encourage everybody, whether you want to speak or not, just to watch, and you see those commissioners up there, and that ain't no Frank Lopresti or Bill Poole up there. These are people that you're looking at saying, I know more than they do. And maybe I've not even been an angler my whole life. It is really eye-opening as to who the decision makers are. And the other thing that's eye-opening is what they use to make their decisions with. Because guess what, Dave? They never tell us what they've made their decision with. They maybe refer to Schumann, one of their scientists, and ask him some questions. But all in all, they don't lay out the case in front of the American public, 1 million of us that have spent $65 to $200 on a license, and lay the case out and say, based on all of this evidence, this is the decision we're making. They just let us speak for a minute or less each, and then tell us they're going to do whatever they feel like doing.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I'm going to show you a quick little video that I made with the Kavala, and this is a phenomenal reel to use for rockfish fishing now that rockfish fishing's open. And then we have a discount, Kavala Dave 20. You're going to save $20 on your purchase of the Kavala reel, and I'll throw the QR code up for Okuma Fishing USA. But here, check out this little video, and then the rest of the show, we're done with this political crap. We're going to talk about Bill's trip to Florida and what's going on surf fishing. So this is the Kavala reel, gang. Unbelievable. 2-speed makes it very, very easy with that power handle to bring those rockfish up from the depths. This reel is absolutely made for fishing for rockfish. You're going to love the reel. You're going to love the way it brings those rockfish up from the bottom. There's your QR code. You simply enter the QR code, go to the website, Okuma Fishing USA. Okuma Fishing USA is the website, or go through the QR code right there and enter the code. If you didn't use the QR code, Kavala Dave 20, and that's going to save you $20 on the product. And when you're over there, check out all the phenomenal products at Okuma. And Okuma's been a big part of my life for a very long time. I've been with Okuma for over 20 years. I've watched them evolve into one of the best reel companies in the world, if not the best. And the rods and reels, that's all you see me fishing with. Once in a while, if I'm on a charter or something, I might have to touch somebody else's rods. But the minute I get done, I grab another Okuma rod. So check out all the great videos I have about the products and all the great things. And Bill talks about it. He uses their spinning reels all the time for surf fishing, right?
Absolutely. Their rods and spinning reels. Great product line. And I also use their travel rods, Dave, when I come down to see you. They have a wide variety of travel rods, both conventional and spinning, and they have light all the way up to heavy. So for surf fishing, I can bring a couple of them down there where mostly medium weight type of spinning rods, match it up with the Okuma, and I'm ready to walk right out of my room and catch some rooster fish right on the beach, man.
Yeah, the Rockaway series, you can't beat it. We showed that many times on the show here. But this month, we're trying to support the Kavala reel and getting everybody involved. And just keep an eye on that stuff, because I think you're going to be very, very happy to get that $20 off on that reel when you go to the website and check it out. Bill, tell us about Florida. What was it like fishing down there? Did you have fun?
It was hot and sweaty.
Did you catch anything that we need to know about?
No. We were down there at a buddy's house, bass fishing, large and smallmouth bass, nothing bigger than 4 pounds or so. But, it's so cool down there, Dave. We were down in Windermere, Florida, which is not far from Orlando. Beautiful area. And it's so cool. You just go down to the end of you walk down to the end of the block with your fishing rods and your tackle box. You get on the boat. You're like in a small canal. You come out through that canal. It opens up into a big lake. And then that lake connects with 6 other lakes.
Wow.
So be a bass fisherman. You probably never go in one lake and fish that. I got a little slow. You go through the canal to the next lake, and it's really amazing. When you're flying over that part of Florida, it reminds me a lot of Houston, Texas. There is a ton of freshwater lakes. I mean, it's like 1,000 lakes. And then, of course, you've got the Atlantic Ocean on one side, excellent fishing over there. And you've got the Gulf on the other side. Even though the Gulf's got some good shore fishing, you've really got to go a long way in the Gulf there to get to that deeper water. But of course, when you go west toward the Cape there, out in the Atlantic, it's a whole different story. San Sebastian outlet there that's got snook, it's got pompano, it's got big tarpon in it. So Florida's got all kinds of great fishing, but it's nothing like being back in California.
Yeah, Lisa, Florida has a lobster season. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
They get to do it way different than we do. They get to use all kinds of tools to catch them with, where we have to only use our hands. In Florida, they use nets. They use little hangman nooses. They use so many different devices, tickle sticks to tickle them, and they swim right into the net. We couldn't do any of that stuff in California and I don't want to get off on that again, but it's all about control out here in California, baby. In Florida, it's like you can actually go outside and enjoy the outdoors, which is pretty cool.
It really is amazing. I think I don't know if I mentioned to you, Dave, a couple of weeks ago, the LA County lifeguards were down checking out their anchors on their offshore buoys for tying up the lifeguard boats in the winter. Got to always make sure that the cable's in good condition, that the anchor's in good condition. And they did some video, and one of them must have had 200 lobster under it. It was unbelievable. You could have just scooped them out with one hand. There were so many of them. It's amazing.
Wow, crazy. So now you got your game plan coming out tomorrow. It's Thursday tomorrow already. What's going on? Give us a preview of what's going on out here surf fishing, Bill.
Oh my gosh, where do I start? It is so good right now, Dave. It's crazy that my buddies' reports while I was gone, they were just working me over, making fun of me for out there catching those little green bass while they're catching the real thing. Well, first of all, sand crabs from the Mexican border to Santa Barbara are up on the surface. They're anywhere from like a dime to a nickel size. People are using those up and down the coast now, and that will get much more prevalent in the surf as they begin to have eggs here in the next few weeks into the next month. Last week, we had that water temperature cool down. That has begun to warm up. We have a big south swell coming in next week, all the way from Chile, 6,000 miles away. That's going to kind of start warming up the water. But just to give an example of one of my buddies this weekend, down there throwing the Lucky Craft in North San Diego County, I'm not going to give away the exact location, started it off with about a 4-pound yellowfin croaker. That's a pretty big one. Handful of perch, the biggest one, 16 inches on that Lucky Craft. That's a nice one. But he couldn't finish the day without finishing me off with the 40-inch white sea bass from the surf. And wow. I told him I'm really sick and tired of this, and I'm not going to take any more of your surf fishing reports of yellowfin croaker, perch, white sea bass if you can at least catch a halibut during the day also. So it's been phenomenally good. Just talked to my buddies up in Santa Barbara. There were over somewhere between 12 and 20 halibut caught in the general Santa Barbara area this weekend. Of course, we go over that in detail on our surf fishing report and our condition report. And those fish were all the way up to 28 inches. So that last run of Grunion has really begun to obviously bring these bigger fish in closer to shore. And if you just get down there and spend a little time, and especially looking at our game plans, it's going to give you an idea of what days, what areas, what you're looking for swell-wise, tide-wise. You're going to really be doing some good fishing. I mean, it has been good from stem to stern. When you hear good fishing in Santa Barbara all the way down to San Diego in Coronado, you know it's good there and everywhere in between.
That is something I wanted to talk to you about while you were gone last week. I got so many videos from so many members about the Grunion. My goodness.
Hmm.
Unbelievable amount of grunion for an animal that's extinct. That's pretty incredible.
It's Dave, it's unbelievable. When the Grunion season began, and as I told you, that was in February. That wasn't in March as the schedule said. We had them coming in and hunting. Well, my report was in Huntington Beach in February, which means that everywhere from there, probably south, they were coming in February. Each one of these runs have gotten more and more. And of course, our bigger run started in San Diego up to the South Bay. That's where we have seen the greatest amount of grunion over these early grunion runs because the water's a little bit warmer there. As that warm water moves north, we're going to see more and more grunion runs there in Ventura and Santa Barbara County also. Although we haven't seen a lot up in Santa Barbara yet, we don't have a lot of coverage up there, but we've seen this really big influx in the last week of halibut up there, which tells you, why are the halibut coming in close?
Because of the grunion.
They're coming to jump in my white bag and get in the car. Okay. The Grunion are coming in close also. They're staging near run, which is coming up this weekend, into the run after that 2 weeks later. We're going to see Santa Barbara.
Jeff wanted to know what's going on with stripers. Are there stripers catching? And Andrew, the auto tech, we'll talk about it a little bit later on in the show before we end. I promise. But is there anywhere you would go catch?
Yeah,
striper?
I think first of all that we would have seen a bigger striper run this winter if we had more rain. That really turns them on, drives them crazy when you have that fresh water making its way into the salt water. Got my own opinion why that is, and maybe at one time we'll talk about that. But striper fishing is something where you're always looking for bait balls offshore. They're just like bonito. They're going to follow those bait balls. And then anywhere where you have harbor entrances, river mouths, estuaries going into the ocean. My reports this last week of striper have been very slim. There's just been a couple of them, and they've been really, really spread out along the beach. So that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of them. It just means that they're just not into the spawning and feeding mode yet. And I think we see the water temperature go over 60 here on a consistent basis. You're going to see a lot more striper. Most of them have been concentrated up in that Dockweiler area.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Jeff, you're not going for that drive up there to the Doc
Mhm.
Wilder area, but Bill, there's no fences. You can
Nope.
anytime you throw your
Nope.
line in the water, you got a chance to catch a striper. As we saw last year, so many people caught so many stripers all over the place. There wasn't that San Diego bite was pretty good there, just by Black's Beach and on down from
Right.
there. Those
Yep.
guys, that was pretty amazing. Why are they there? There's nothing there. There's no stream or creek running in there. What are they doing?
Well, that Torrey Pines area, they've commonly been there, and there is water that comes out there. But remember, those striper, they're all about eating because they grow so quickly, and they swim up to 35 miles a day looking for food. So a lot of times when we catch them at a place like the South Bay, where we're down maybe at Hermosa Beach, where there's no water running in, or San Diego, it's because they're transiting from point A to point B looking for food. That's their basic thing in life, is swimming, eating, and spawning. So they're going to look for food, and they grow very quickly. And in order for them to grow quickly, just like the tuna that you always see, or the Dorado, they have to have a lot of protein to be able to grow that quickly. And so in order to get that protein, they're looking for food all up and down the coast.
Yeah, gang, they're going to follow the groceries. So where you see a lot of anchovies in the surf, you got a good chance. You see all those pelicans and seagulls pounding the surf. That tells you that
Mm-hmm.
anchovy is there. That's a good place to try to catch a striper right there, or any of the fish. That anchovy is like the dinner. It's like a bell going off in their
Yeah.
head when that
Yeah.
anchovy hits the surf like that, and all the birds are pounding. You drag a lucky craft through there, or you drag a big chrome jig through there, you're going to get yourself a striper, or the lucky craft, you're going to get yourself a halibut. You'd be blown away at all the fish that are swimming with those anchovies. That's pretty much right on. They're following that food around.
Absolutely. And I got a very interesting report this week from King Harbor in Redondo Beach of the tons of sardine swimming inside the very back of the harbor there. And I'm telling you, if you are up in Redondo, you better be up there fishing this week or this weekend. There's going to be bonita up there looking for that, halibut inside the harbor, striper, possibility of yellowtail in there. Whenever we see these big bait balls make their way inside the harbor, what does that tell you? Something's following in them in there too, and maybe even pushing them into the harbor. Who really knows? So keep your eye on that. That's really some big news coming up now.
Right underneath Bill's chin is the QR code. If you guys would like to get involved with Bill's weekly game plans, be on his bundles and all the great information that he shares all the time, grab that QR code, go check it out. Bill and I will give you an absolutely free look for 7 days at what he's got going on. And then believe me, when the 7 days are up, we're not going to call you and go, "Do you want to get in?" Either you're in or you're out. We're not going to bug you. That's not what we do. But you want to at least check it out and see what everyone's talking about and what all the hype's about. Bill's game plans put all of our members right on the fish. The community, the amount of love that you feel from the community, you've never seen anything like that. Gang, we got a bunch of like-minded people that share zero negativity. So if one of our members takes a picture with his child with a barred surf perch, everybody says, "Oh, what a great picture." Nobody goes, "Oh, I can't believe you caught a little baby one." We don't have any negativity, gang, so you don't have to worry about that. Believe me, Captain Dave gets all the negativity he wants on social media, so we don't allow it on our website in any way, shape, or form. And then the other thing about just being able to get with Bill, give him a phone call. You're going surf fishing this afternoon because you're a member of the website that allows you to call Bill Varney. And guess what? When you call Bill's phone number, this will blow your mind. Bill answers the phone, not his H. Oh, wait a minute. He is his HR department.
It's one of my many hats I wear. I love talking about surf fishing. So, yeah, when you're in our group, you can call me. We talk about where you live, where you fish, how you should rig up, where my favorite spots are in that area, when to go, what time of year, what baits to use up there. Really takes you to the next level in surf fishing. So you've got that, you've got the game plans. Of course, next week on the game plan, we're going to talk about sand crabs. Now that the sand crabs have made their way to the surface, we're going to talk about how they're free, where to find them, how to keep them, how to rig them, how to be ready for the beach with sand crabs as we come up here on May and June are the really big sand crab months here in Southern California. So we're going to start talking about those a little bit next week. We're going to cover that over a couple of weeks with techniques that only people on the inside will learn on those sand crabs. And all of these things will help you, more and more and more to be better angler right down on the sand.
Yeah. And I can't emphasize the fact that the community is so fun to be involved in, gang. When you go in there and you're just like, wow, Jason was fishing yesterday, Matt was fishing yesterday, and then Bill's constantly adding to what they're saying in the community. You just seeing it is believing it. You got to go and you got to look. At least take a look for free. I mean, that I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess maybe we can get Bill to go to your house and sit down with you and have a cup of coffee. But you get to take a free look. Free is pretty cool. I don't know. There's very much stuff left on the planet Earth that's free, but a look for 7 days is free. You get to see the whole website and all Bill's stuff, with the massive amounts of articles and all the how-to videos. And then the game plans, that's just the icing on the cake. To know exactly where to go fish this weekend, how do you beat that, gang? Like I always say, when you're tired of sucking and you don't want to suck anymore, jump on. We're more than happy to take you. You can suck for years. It's okay. We're still going to love you at the end when you come over and jump in with us. Josh, I don't know if you saw this comment. Josh just said, Bill, he got 12 striped bass last year, fly line and sardines off of Camp Pendleton.
That makes perfectly logical sense. Absolutely. And, up at Camp Pendleton, of course, there's talking about a closure, there's very little pressure up there. And over the years, striper fishing, for those who've tried up in the Camp Pendleton area and really all the way up to San Onofre, has been really quite good. And so we're hoping that that's going to, be even better this year. I have, over the last probably dozen years or so, the striper, as we've all noticed, have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger that people have been catching along the beach. I think we're really going to see some 30 to 40 inchers this year, no doubt about it. And I saw that Lisa put that note up about Seawolf, and yes, I've got I think about 30 calendars left. They're only $10 right now because we're already partly through the year. All people have to do is just go to surffishtackle.com, surffishtackle.com, click on calendars, order one of the last ones before they're gone, because they will be gone here. And I'd say about 3 more weeks, we'll probably see the last of them go out the door. And there's nothing better if you're a halibut angler or a grunion hunter to look at that calendar and look at those tides and figure out when the best time to go is.
Absolutely. It'll change what you catch when you start to see how the tide works in your favor. And then you listen to Bill's game plans on Thursday, and then you look back at his calendar, and then you listen to what he says. And then you're like, okay, now I understand what he's talking about. And then when you go down and you put the puzzle together and you stand there in the surf and you actually catch fish when you throw your line in the water, and you look at his calendar and you listen to his game plan, and you're like, there is a lot about this tide. This tide is super important for that. Surf fishing, or Captain Al fishing in the back bay, or the sea bass fishing that's going on at Catalina right now. All those things are super tidal dependent. It's very dependent on the tide. The bluefin fishery is a tidal dependent fishery. And I got some good news just now while we were talking, Bill. Tim Ekstrom, the mad scientist, the fishing scientist, the owner of the co-owner of the Royal Star, he is going to be our guest on Friday. We're going to get into this cold water season that we're talking about, maybe talk about those fish with the long fins, the anchovies, all the different things that Mr. Ekstrom sees driving his long-range boat up and down the Baja and seeing all the different things. We'll talk to him a little bit about that migratory sand bass and how when you're trying to make bait down on the Baja, your sabiki rigs, many, many days, many, many times you think you're stopping on a school of mackerel and it's straight sand bass and you're getting 6 at a time on your sabiki. It's amazing. Bill will be back with us in a minute. We just lost him for a second. There he is. He's back. There you are.
Am I back? I'm stuck again.
No video. We got no video. But we're going to talk a little bit here at the end of the show about what we believe you guys should do. And thinking about what we should do going there. You're back again, but you're frozen. Yep. Try to close the whole computer down and start over again. We got plenty of time. We're going to go a little bit over today because we're going to talk about the way to act on this meeting on next Wednesday and Thursday. The Fish and Game Commission meeting that's coming up next Wednesday and Thursday. There you go.
God, I froze again.
Frozen up. Try turning off everything and coming back on.
Alrighty.
Okay. So as we get up to closer to this meeting, like we said last month or the month before in February when we were all on that meeting, what you need to do is take a deep breath. And when it's your time to speak, have something written down. Now, remember, we all thought it would be 3 minutes, but we found out we're only going to have a minute to talk. So you want to put together your thoughts on a piece of paper, practice talking, practice saying it. Try to leave your emotions in your car or in your tackle box or in your pocket and just speak honest, no emotions, because they don't like that. And you'll see they get very upset. Don't call them names. Don't act a fool. Pretend like you've been outside before and pretend like you've been in a professional situation. Calm down. Speak clearly. Say what you want to say. No question. These meetings we're not allowed to ask questions. That's not what it's about. It's about stating the fact. What I would say, like I said on the meeting last time, they said full transparency from now on. Thank them for the transparent, because we know there isn't any. So what I would say was thank them for the transparency. Thank you for allowing us to see the scientific evidence. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the things that they're not allowing us to see. Thank them for those, because that's the kind of stuff they want. Tell them how good they look in their bonnet or their little blouse or their beautiful haircut or the way their beard. That's what they want to hear. The thing is, we just all need to be involved. We all need to be on this meeting. You cannot ask a question. There's not going to be anybody answering the questions. Oh my God, people. Every once in a while someone slips through, but you got to be very careful when you're talking. And then tomorrow night, Michael Folks at 5:00 tomorrow night at the Bass Pro Shops in Irvine, California. Benji Kim and Michael Folks are going to be doing a seminar, and it's to benefit ccacalifornia.org. ccacalifornia.org is the only real group we have at the table representing us at these meetings, right, Bill?
That's right, exactly.
So
But
Michael Folks and Benji Kim are going to be doing a presentation tomorrow night at Irvine at the Irvine Bass Pro Shop. It's going to go off at 5:00. Michael kind of talked about it yesterday on the show. We all need to show up and support Michael Folks and Benji Kim.
absolutely. And certainly Michael and all the work that he's done, it's incredible. Thank God for him. But you surf anglers, you are a fool if you don't get down there and talk to Benji and have some questions for Benji. He is one of the best, certainly halibut surf anglers along the coast. A very nice person. And I think he's told us he's in his 40s now. So we better get a hold of him before he gets too old. Dave and I laughed because we had once thought he was like 27 because he looks so young. But get on down there and you'll learn so much from Benji, and he can show you right on the spot rod and reel combination, the lures that he uses, any special things that he does in the surf to make him successful.
And Michael was saying, Bill, that they're going to have food and they're going to have beverages and they're going to have just the whole thing tomorrow night at the Irvine Bass Pro Shop is all revolving around us and getting us more involved in helping to save fishing. ccacalifornia.org is a great organization. And then I'm going to be at the Dave Pfeiffer Lifetime Conservation Anthony Shea Awards dinner on the 1st of May. I have a couple of seats available at my table if you want to join me on May 1st in Long Beach, California, right across the street from the Long Beach Airport. You can join me for that dinner. But this event going on tomorrow night at the Bass Pro Shops, like Dave Brown just said, is absolutely free. There's no reason to not be there. On your way home from work, go to the Bass Pro Shops. Go support Michael Folks and Benji Kim and support our industry, gang. It's super important to support our industry. This is a great event put on by all the guys that sponsor CCA, all the tackle companies. Everybody's helping to put on this event. Okuma will be represented there. All the other tackle manufacturers will be represented there. And then you're going to get to meet Michael Folks. You see him on my show every Tuesday. And Benji Kim is, like Bill Varney said, he's no slouch. You want to be there. You want to listen to what he has to say. The guy puts together some phenomenal things. Dave Brown's letting us know there's going to be food, seminars, raffle. Everything's free, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great night. It's always fun to go to the Bass Pro Shops. It's always a good time. If you're into fishing at all, being at the Bass Pro Shops like going to Disneyland for a guy like myself or any of you that like to fish. And when you're there, you're going to get to see Michael Folks and Benji Kim and food, raffle, seminars. It doesn't get much better than that, and it's all free. And it also, anything that you do decide to get involved in, The money that's going to be collected there, if there's any type of money being collected, is also going to go to benefit ccacalifornia.org. I don't know if there's going to be money collected there or not, but Dave Brown's telling us right now that the food, the seminars, the raffles are all free. It's a great opportunity to sign up for the Star Tournament, win a Parker boat or many other prizes. They give away a total of 10 prizes, I believe. And Justin Botrell said he may show up, so you might get to see Justin there. He'll be representing your saltwater guide in Okuma if he does show up there. Just so much fun stuff. Dave Brown, are you going to be there? Are you going to be at the Irvine Bass Pro Shop? I know probably it's a long drive from the Inland Empire where Dave works to get out to Irvine in time. But anybody else that's in that general area, yeah, bring money for the raffle. The event is free, but bring money for the raffle, and all the money goes to ccacalifornia.org. Dave Brown said he will be there, so go up and say hi to Dave. Thank him for the discount that they're giving all the members, everybody that watches the show for the Kabbalah Reel. You get 20% off if you use Kabbalah Dave 20, and you go to the Okuma website, which I'll put up on the screen right now. Again, there you go. There's the QR code, and you can save on that reel that we talked about 45 minutes ago. Gang, we are talking about the closures that are coming down the pipe. CCA is one of the only organizations representing us to slow these closures down. Guys like Dave Brown, myself, Doug, Michelle, John Bretza, Alan, all the people at Okuma are working very hard to keep fishing open, but it's up to all of us to attend all these great events to help let everybody know that it's important to help keep fishing open and be a part of ccacalifornia.org. And then next week, on the 16th and 17th, that's the Fish and Game Commission meeting. I put the QR code up many times on the show today. Next week, on Wednesday and Thursday, we'll go probably early on the podcast, but we're going to be jumping back and forth from the California Fish and Game Commission meeting and the podcast, talking about how important it is for all of us to be involved. But yeah, like Tim Ogilvy said, going to the Bass Pro Shop, it's like going to a toy store for us that are into fishing. Lisa, myself, and everybody else that's into fishing. The Bass Pro Shop is a phenomenal place to hang out with like-minded people, represent CCA, be there for everything. And oh, there he is. He's back. Thank you. You know me, I just get off onto talking and I forget. Now we can't hear you. Can't hear you at all. Dang, Bill, come on, man. Get it together. I don't know. We can't hear Bill, but you all want to be involved in this seminar raffle. There he is. He's back.
Okay. I'm having some angst over my internet capacity today.
Yeah, you are.
I apologize. You know, we call Bass Pro Shops among my friends Mecca. And when it was up in the valley there, up in the Rancho Cucamonga, which we also called Rancho Pukimunga, when my buddies would call and say, "We're going to Mecca," we wouldn't even have to talk about where we're going. We knew where we're going that weekend. So I hope everybody gets down there. It's such a fun thing to do, and it's such a good purpose being down there, listening and finding out what CCA is working on, signing up for the Star Tournament. As you know, they expanded it to a couple different new fish this year, so it's really exciting. I hope everybody has a great time tomorrow night down there.
And then a lot of us grew up watching Michael Fulks. So to go there and get to meet Michael, he doesn't do a lot of events. So this is a kind of a special deal, but he knows how important it is to save the industry. So for Michael to come out and do an event, it's going to be very, very special. He's going to be talking about his new docuseries, The History of Sport Fishing. But Michael's an open book. Like you see him on our show on Tuesdays. He's going to answer your questions. He's going to be there. He's going to talk to you. And like we blow him away on this show every time when I bring Al or Pablo or Justin, on the show, they all make Michael blush when they tell him how he was such an integral part of their childhood as they grew up watching inside sport fishing on Fox Sports West. It was kind of a big deal, right, Bill?
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. It was really the only connection we really had to the ocean, as far as watching, boats on the water and fish being caught, and just such great stuff that so many of us grew up on, especially those of us in the winter who didn't have a lot of winter fishing going on. At least we had something to keep us motivated. So when the spring came, we were ready to rock and roll.
Oh yeah, and it's pretty cool when you talk to Michael and tell him about how you liked this show that he made or that show, or those
Mhm.
of you that have had the opportunity to watch the history of sport fishing and then see Michael light up when you talk about his shows and how he changed your life. He gets as much out of it as you guys do. So make sure you show up there and shake his hand and tell him thank you for everything he's done for our industry, because my father used to talk about it all the time, how he came along for our industry at a time where we needed it. Like when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird went into the NBA, it was kind of the same thing when Michael got into
Mhm.
this sport fishing thing and highlighted what we were doing and how we were doing it. He brought us all, made us all relevant. And you guys let him know how important he was to your life. And then he understands that it's important to help save this industry, because there's a part on the history of sport fishing where he interviews Frank Lopresti, and Frank talks about how terrifying it is right now. He's been to so many different meetings and how they are on a mission to shut down fishing in the United States of America. And it's just so scary. And Jeanette, I think a lot of us have been beaten down for the last 40 plus years with the agenda and the wokeness that's been going on in America, and we didn't really understand that we could make a difference. But that last fishing wildlife meeting that we all showed up at, and we saw that we scared the hell out of them because we showed up. I think now we understand that they're listening to us now. The Bill and I talked about it earlier. The paradigm's changed, right, Bill?
Absolutely. Before there, if unless we go way back, there wasn't many people watching, so they really felt like that they were making the right decision, and whatever decision that they made, there was nobody who was saying it wasn't the right decision. Now, with so many people participating and watching, in particular, they know they're being watched, and they know that for them to substantiate their positions, they need to have better and more evidence. So all of that is helping. And that's something we need to continue to put pressure on them as to the fact that we're watching you. We know what we want to happen. Are you going to make it happen for us? And that's what's really going to push our group and all of us, really, as anglers, forward and helping making these decisions instead of them just being made for us.
And so now that you're back with us and we can hear you and see you, what do you think some of the most important things to talk that we should be doing on the 16th and 17th as we raise our hand and we hope that we get chosen to talk at these both the 16th and the 17th, and probably the sand bass thing will come around middle of the day on the 17th, but we don't know how the agenda is going to go. They could change it like they do all the time and have it at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday or Wednesday morning or Thursday morning. We don't know how the agenda is going to set up, but we would sure like everyone to be prepared.
Well, with such a hot topic, you're right, Dave. We really don't know if they'll change the time of the discussion at the last minute in order to reduce the response to it. So, of course, we have to be prepared for that. What's important for everybody to remember is, first of all, we need to continue to pound away on the same things we talked about last time, which is access to anglers. What is our reason for reducing the sand bass? And if there's science on the sand bass that shows that these populations have been reduced by angling, where is that evidence? Can you make it transparent and available to all of us for us to be able to read and review and then have a discussion about it? So don't jump immediately to a conclusion at the end of the meeting about what decision you're making about the sand bass. without taking time for all of us to get a look at it and have more of a discussion about it. So those are the things that we need to continue to tell them, that the sand bass are important not only to us, not only to our kids, but ultimately to our grandkids and everybody down the line. That the experiences that we've had empirically, like being out there on the water, seeing the fish and catching the fish, and then seeing and catching those fish south of the border in these gigantic numbers, show us that they have migrated elsewhere, and it's just not the right conditions for them to come back. And as others have said over time, of course, those sand bass that were coming to the Huntington Flats were there to eat on bean clams, clams that occur in the water at about 60 feet in that area. Once those clams were gone, the fish moved on to other areas to find food. So all of these things need to be taken into consideration by the department. And one thing that I think the department forgets, and Dave, about 90% of all of the reports that I get a dozen or 24 reports every single week from the surf, is all of those anglers, once again, 90% at least of those anglers are all catch and release anglers. I don't know how many thousands of sand bass I have caught and released. That didn't make them die and float away. So we need to have credit for having such a large body of anglers catch and release out there, in addition to the fact that these fish are migratory. And just like yellowtail, look at yellowtail. Occasionally you'll catch what we call a home guard yellowtail at the Coronado Islands or at the Catalina, San Clemente, Palos Verdes, any one of the local areas that we fish for those. And then in large part, those are migratory fish. So just like sand bass, there are home guard sand bass who live on that rock or in that rock area. And then there's the greater mass of sand bass who migrate up and down the coast to not only out of the country, but in areas here in the Southern California Bight that are not recognized by these scientists as being an area for them where they might be in massive numbers that they haven't discovered yet. So what's a good example of that, Dave? Well, remember these barrels with DDT in them that they threw them off the side of the boat, and they said that, oh, there's a small area of a few of them that they discovered maybe around the early 1960s, and how just about 5 or 6 years ago, so what would that be, about 50 years later, they found over 100,000 barrels in the California Bight. Well, could that be like sand bass, where they didn't know where to look and they found just a few, but right over the horizon there were hundreds of thousands, if not millions of them? Give us the science. That's what we're asking for.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all. Just we're not allowed to ask questions, but write down what you want to say and just keep your cool, because you guys that haven't seen this, it's going to blow your mind. You're going to be very, very upset. You're going to be very, very disappointed in the process, and you're going to get emotional. We cannot get emotional. That is super important. No expletives. Let's all act like we've been here before. Those of you that have saw the process, the last 2 meetings we all showed up at, we're ready. But those of you that are new, and hopefully you bring a bunch of friends and you all come to the meeting, and if you're at your office or you're at your job, log on, keep it off to the side, keep your hand up, wait for your opportunity to speak. There's so many different things on the agenda that all matter, Bill. The kelp, the salmon, the abalone, the lobster, the MPAs, all the different, everything matters. There's no reason to not put your hand up for every single thing on the agenda. Also, what it will do is it'll help you to understand what it's like. So when we get to the number one thing that we all want to be involved in is the sand bass, but you know how it works. You know how to turn your mic on. That's a big one. You see a lot of people in this meeting that when they pick you, you panic because you don't know how to turn on your mic. That's why you want to be involved in every one of these. They're going to ask, okay, you guys have 10 minutes to put your hand up, and then it's going to close, and you got to have your hand up. Be ready, practice. Say, put your hand up for everything, and just say, hey, my name's Dave, and I'm here to see the science. I've showed up to see the science. I'm so glad that you're showing us the science. I'm excited to see the science. Thank you for showing us the science. Something like that, but practice so that you're ready when it's your time to shine. You don't want to do what we all did last time. None of us knew how it worked, Bill. And it was like we had our hand up and then they chose us and we didn't know how to turn our speaker on. We didn't know how to be involved. Practice, practice, practice. It'll help out tremendously.
Absolutely. And if you go on and you make a mistake the first time, they're making mistakes all the time, people. They're making mistakes all the time. So don't feel bad about not knowing how to do it. You'll learn it from that experience. And then the next subject or the next time there's a commission meeting, it'll be easier for you to speak. The more often you do it, the less nervous you'll feel about it and the more concise you'll be with your message. And that's what we're really looking for. We're not looking for those people to stumble through it. I remember when they had the MLPA discussions in Long Beach, and some people get up there and say, well, when I was 7 and I was a little girl, my mom took me on a, they just sounded so dumb. So after some practice, you'll certainly get better at it. And that's the thing. When we speak with authority to the commission, they're going to listen a lot more than when we speak from emotion or we're just not prepared. So if you can practice, that's good. But if not, practice makes perfect. If you get up there and do your best you can, that's all we're asking for. And believe me, the next time you do it, just like when you look back at 699 broadcasts of Dave's, he was better now than he was 699 broadcasts ago. And we still love him just as much as we did the very first day we saw you, dude. So yeah, just get out there and do it. Be positive about it. We all love you. We're all really supporting every one of you who will raise your hand and say something about how you feel.
And here's a little bit about that event tomorrow night at the Bass Pro Shop, gang. I got the poster up there. We're going to talk about that Anglers Night Out at the Bass Pro Shop in Irvine, California. Starts at 5 o'clock. Michael Folks and Benji Kim on board the pontoon stage. Beer, wine, drinks available with additional food for purchase. Admission is free. Just RSVP by using the link in the story. And I'm not really sure about the link in the story. I think at this point, I think it's just show up, baby. Just show up. They're gonna. They got the food. They got the food. If they don't have the food, they don't have the food. But it's not about that. I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to get a free glass of wine or a free beer, some food. But it's all about being there, supporting CCA, supporting our industry, and being there to see Michael Folks and Benji Kim. So there's the event tomorrow night, Anglers Night Out at the Bass Pro Shops. And the thing Bill and I are talking about, we talked about it a lot today on the show, is this meeting next Wednesday and Thursday, the Fish and Game Commission meeting. Go grab that QR code right there on the screen. Go through it, look at the agenda. Also, it shows you how to link into the meeting, how to get to participate in each agenda. Everything's laid out there. It's super easy. Elliot's put it all together, very, very simple and easy for you. All you got to do is scan the QR code. I know you don't want to do it while you're watching the show. A lot of you are on your phone. Go back and look at this show afterwards. Grab that QR code. Get there, put it on your bookmark, your phone, or save it so that you're ready to go. And go in there and look around and look at the agenda and look at all the different things that they have planned to control what you do next year or for the rest of your life. Like Bill and I, so disappointed about the MPA thing because they lied to us every day during the MPA process where they said they were going to go. They made us feel warm and fuzzy inside because they kept telling us, look, we're going to take this away from you, but in 5 years, we're going to go look at it again and we're going to reassess it and we're going to do some science. And we believed them. And we were like, oh my gosh, you're going to do science, which you haven't done yet? And then we're all going to get to go fishing our favorite spots again, because if you do the science, then we'll know that there's plenty of fish there and we can go back and fish. So we were all Okay, well, we'll just put a pause on it for 5 years. Now it's been 15 years, still zero science been done. And they told us that as long as there's structure in the MPA areas, it'll always be closed. And we're like, wait a minute, that's not what you told us when you did this 15 years
Mhm.
ago to us.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of lying, but they promised us the other day that they're not going to lie anymore and they're going to be transparent and they're going to be honest and they're going to. So we need to thank them for their honesty this time, even though we know they're not going to be honest, but thank them for being honest and transparent. But you all need to know what we're up against, right, Bill?
Absolutely. During the process, the review process, they asked for petitions to increase the size of MPAs, to add more MPAs, to eliminate MPAs, and to make MPAs smaller, marine protected areas smaller. There was one petition to make one of the areas a few acres smaller, and there were dozens upon dozens of petitions to add new areas and make all the areas bigger. All of this opposition that we have from non-anglers who are trying to close the coast, whether they want to do it for private property rights, so they have property looks over the ocean like in Laguna, and you never have to look at another boat again, or nobody's ever going to touch the shore below your house. All of those are way more than we are. And we have to continue to push the public pressure on them to do whatever we can to reduce and ultimately eliminate these. I saw that Tim had a note on here and he asked, when are they up for reelection? I think he was referring to the commission members. Well, although we live in a democracy, these commission members, they're appointed by the governor. So when is the election? It's when you have a new governor. When the governorship comes up for election, I guarantee you right now, today, if we elect a new governor who is pro-angler, I can guarantee you that I can get that governor to end this baloney that we're doing, that to restock the commission with people that gives it an equal balance over the commission and relook at every one of these state closures, because these are state closures, the MPA. These are not federal closures. These are in state waters. They'll look at every one of those, revisit every one of those, and there'll be new openings to areas there wasn't in the past. But the only way to do that is elect somebody to office in the state of California, overseeing the California legislature, who is a pro angler and a pro hunter. And all we can do is go to the ballot box to do that.
So you're telling me that there's going to be an election in I've only been on the planet for 63 years. I've never seen an election in California. There's going to be an election in California?
I think there is. California is
No
very
way.
similar to Ukraine. The president of Ukraine, when his election came up for a new election about 2 years ago, I think, he suspended elections in his country, saying that the reason for that was we're under war and he should continue to be the king of the country. Is that what's going on in California? I'm not quite sure, but sometimes it does seem like it.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty cool when they already decided who won in California before we even went to the ballot boxes. That's what happened last time. I watched them decide and I was like 3:30 in the afternoon. Most of us hadn't even got off work yet and they already gave it to Gavin. What? Well, that the guy, the orange guy that's running the country now, he told him he's not going to give him any money unless he asks for voter ID, which would be amazing in California. That would clean it all up instantly if you had to actually prove who you were to vote in California. But that ain't going to happen, bro. Wait till you see this commission meeting and then you'll go, huh. You'll go, whoa, these people hate us. They hate you. They
Well,
absolutely hate you.
well, Dave, I not only think you have that, they absolutely aren't into what we're into, but the other thing when you see stuff like this, you're always like, oh my gosh, these are the people we're counting an emergency. I mean, God. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. So we just need to get out there and do our thing. With our last few minutes here, do we have a few minutes to talk about Grunion?
Sure. We're way
Okay.
over already.
Well, it's exciting. We have our next Grunion run coming up this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I think it's pretty funny that if not all of the Grunion runs so far this year, I think most of them have fallen on a weekend. So that is just awesome for folks with kids and grandkids to take them down there to the beach. There was a couple of people who wrote me about their trip, and one in particular said, hey, got together a big group of friends and asked those friends to invite somebody else to go on down and watch these Grunion. And they were all so excited. It was the first time they had ever seen them in their life. So begin at about 10 o'clock at night each night, a little bit later each night after that. Saturday, 10 o'clock, about 9, they're saying about 9:45, you'll probably see them running after 10. The thing to remember down there when you go to the Grunion runs is that when you see those first ones come into shore, you want to keep your light off them. You don't want to disturb them and go down on the sand where they are. Just give them about 10, 15 minutes to do their thing and make it back out in the water. They act as scouts. They'll go back in the water. They'll tell the other ones, the parties in the shore there, let's go on in. And that's when the bigger numbers will start coming in. Another thing to remember is this is a no-take period. You cannot take any Grunion from the beach, possess them, until after the beginning Grunion run, the next Grunion run that occurs in the beginning of July. So no taking them, but you can observe them now. And during this observation period, this is a really good time also to fish them at the beach there at night when they're running too. So get down there, check out the Grunion run Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. It's probably, like Dave would say, second night, Sunday night. It's going to be red hot down there, and I'd get down there and keep my eye on them. Mark yourself, line up where one end of them to the other end of them is. Come back at high tide the next day, fish those areas consistently. You're going to find some halibut and, as we talked earlier, some nice big sea bass in that area too.
Oh yeah. So wait a minute, but you're saying it's a no take. But what if I didn't? Can I not show my ID?
So let's say, for example, that you went during a take period and you took 30 Grunion and you put 10 in a Ziploc bag and you took them down there with you and you used them for bait adjacent or in where the run is, you would have the possibility of being cited. And that's why I did recommend everybody who took them to take a picture of the run with their phone that day. So if they are asked when and where they got them from, not only do they know the date and time, but they have a photograph on their telephone. Unfortunately, that's what we've gotten to now.
So you're saying I don't need my ID to vote, but I need my ID to go Grunion hunting.
Yes.
Oh,
You
okay.
need your ID to buy a fishing license in order to go Grunion hunting. So you need your driver's license, you need your license, and then you need to be polite to the officer. Those are 3 things you need to remember. You don't need that to vote.
Wow.
You don't need
What a great
a
country.
driver's license.
How
You don't need
fun.
an ID. You don't need for me, $185 California fishing license. You can just go on over there. They don't ask you anymore where you live. They used to ask you what your address was. Then they looked it up in a book of all the people that lived in that jurisdiction where they're going to vote. You don't need that anymore. You get it in the mail. You sign your name or somebody else's on it. You put it back in the mail, and that's how you vote. So it is different than fishing.
Oh my goodness. That's great. I love this place. That's such a fun place. You know what they do down here? When you go to vote down here, you have to show your ID and then they put black ink on your thumb. You only get to vote once. It's
One
crazy
time.
talk.
And you know what's odd, Dave? They do that prior to the getting out of Afghanistan. That's how they did it in Afghanistan too. You voted one time, they put red on your finger that lasted about a day and a half so you knew that the person had voted. It really seems odd to me that people that live in pajamas and flip-flops all the time, like you, Dave, they have to show their ID. They get a mark on them that they voted. But the rest of us who drive around in our $80,000 cars and live in their homes and show our ID every time we go on a plane, we don't need to show it.
That is, wow, that is so cool. I had no idea. I am so excited now. So, Tim Ogilvy, I hope you're listening. So, you don't get to vote for these people. That's what we're trying to explain to you. You don't get to vote for these people. All right? You don't get to vote for the governor. You don't get to vote for any of the people in California. So, just so you understand, I just want you to understand. That's why it's so fun to actually attend these fishing game commission meetings, because you get to see who these people really are. They all lean one way, and they lean that way super hard. But you can't talk about that either. And they're going to tell you when if let's just pretend like they had question and answer period. We got to see that a little bit a couple of months ago on actually one of the people up there were asked a question, and for some reason they were just feeling very happy that day. I guess they got some of that NGO money or something, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll answer the question." Yes, 7.5 years ago at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was going to go on a boat, and I was going to go on a boat. I was going to go outside, and I was going to go on a boat, and I was going to take my family, but the boat broke down. Therefore, I am very qualified to make decisions on where you're going to go and what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And that was exactly how it went, gang. And then they complimented each other on their hat and their blouse and their pants and their shoes and how clean their table was. And one of them had a really pretty coffee cup, and they all talked about that. And that person that person was the person in charge. And that person came rolling in an hour and a half after the meeting started because there was a long line at Starbucks. So, but very concerned about the ocean and what's going on out there. I just want you all to be involved so you can see this ludicrousy and what is really going on. And I think we're in a paradigm shift, and we're going to be able to make a difference, and we're going to be able to understand. But don't take my word for it. Show up to the damn meeting and see what the hell I'm talking about, and you will be blown away by the wasted amount of time. Now, there's an agenda, and you can see it, and you can touch it, and you can feel it. But when you see the waste of time that they're going to spend wasting time on garbage that doesn't matter to anybody but the five of them, they're going to talk about stupid ass shit that doesn't. I'm sorry, and I got to give all the children a gift. And when I see
Two
you
hats.
kids, they saw me, but for 2 days, you're going to be just inundated with the most god awful, ridiculous stuff where they try to figure out which bathroom they should use and who should have the most time in that bathroom. Yesterday, they used the men's bathroom. Today, they're going to use the girls' bathroom.
I really want everybody to pay attention to the section of it where they talk about diversity, inclusion, and equity. And not only from the standpoint of it's not about the marine environment. I mean, isn't that what the commission is? Hunting and fishing. It's not about social interaction, or it's not, about socially designing the society, but that's something they're going to talk about. And when they talk about it, I want everybody to think to themselves about the last time they went to a fishing show, whether it's PCS or the Fred Hall shows or all that, about how in the fishing world, the diversity of people is incredible. That every color of skin, every religion, every socioeconomic group, every fishing ability, every gender, every sexual orientation. They all love fishing. It is by far the most diverse, inclusive group of any sport or activity of anything you can do. Think about it. Think about when your kid was on the football team. What kind of people were on the football team? Think about your kid who was on the basketball team. What kind of people were on the basketball team? Was that a diverse group of people? No way. Not even close to fishing. And they're going to go on and pontificate about it. And then they're going to talk about how they're going to close things. Now, if you close something, does that make it more accessible to people who have less money, or does it make it less accessible? That's a rhetorical question. Of course, it's less accessible. We need to open up fishing and make it accessible to more people, because not only is it a pastime and a way to get kids off the street and give them something productive to do, but ultimately it's a way to save your life through subsistence by having a way to provide food for yourself and your family. I want you to watch that section, and I want you to laugh to yourself about the irony of what they're saying.
And we have a group text that goes on. If you want to be involved in it, just send one of our people your telephone number, and we talk about what's going on the commission meeting, why it's going on, and it's absolutely unbelievable. But Bill and I will be here with you on Wednesday at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We'll both have the commission meeting going on the side, and we'll be involved. And hopefully you guys all get involved. I see one person downloaded the QR code. I hope that means the rest of you are going to download the QR code after the show. I really hope you guys all show up. I mean, last time over 150 people were on the commission meeting. We're not done by any stretch of the imagination, gang.
Yeah.
We're not done by any stretch of the imagination. We need to get involved. Even if you hate fishing, you've got to really get involved in this, because your grandkids or your kids' kids or your grandma or your grandpa, somebody might want to fish in your sphere of influence. Let's all be involved. Let's help us save fishing. Let's go to this dinner tomorrow, or to this seminar, raffle, food, beer, wine tomorrow night. But let's make a stand. Let's all be at this fishing game committee next Wednesday and Thursday. And it usually starts about 9 o'clock in the morning, right, Bill?
That's right, 9 o'clock Pacific time. And it usually ends about 3 to 5 o'clock, depending on how many issues they have to cover. They never go over, and they never go like, oh, we got to come back tomorrow so we have more time to discuss this. So definitely be there for it. Keep it in the background on your computer. My suggestion is, if you have a minute, is to print off the agenda and just use a yellow marker on the few items and the number of that item that you're interested in listening to. I know that the previous list was sand bass was, I think, 23 or 24 on there. So when you really want to be listening and when you want to make a comment if you feel like doing that.
Yeah, and it's everything that you need is on that QR code. When you go on there, it takes you right to the website, takes you to the agenda page, takes you to everything. Brent, thank you for asking. And gang challenge, Lisa brought it up perfect before we went live. Everybody bring a friend. So let's just say 150 of us showed up for the comment section last time. If all of us brought a friend this time, that would mean there would be 300 plus people. That would be a big, big, big red flag to them to say, oh, wait a minute, they actually care. And like Bill said, that's all it's about, is showing that we care, and they can't get away with this buffoonery anymore of doing what they want to do. So just be there again. You'll be blown away. Even if you don't want to participate, I know it's kind of a scary thing to speak in front of a big group of people like that. And I just want you to see what the hell's going on. And these are the people that are controlling what you're going to eat, what you're going to get to do for fun, where you're going to get to do it. And when I say what you're going to eat, what do you mean, Dave? Well, I like fish. I like lobsters. I like abalone. I like calico bass, white sea bass, bluefin. I like to eat all that stuff. I like to eat it more than I like to eat fast food or processed food. I like to eat food that I caught. And they don't want you to do that anymore either. Like Bill said, they want you to catch your fish and throw it back and don't hurt the environment and da 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 da. It's food for a lot of people. It's sustenance. A lot of people can't afford to go to the grocery store and buy fish. So this is how they get their fish. So it's all about control, gang. So pay attention. Finish it off, Bill. Give them something.
Yeah, that's I all I can say is just once again just schedule it out, so you know it's coming. Be there, look at the schedule. Please watch. If you can, please comment. And I think really, Dave, this meeting, this is going to be our second meeting where we're going there as a huge group. The proof is really going to be in the pudding on this meeting as we see the commission's response to all of us online and all of us speaking. Should be really interesting to see if we have some leverage here that we can move forward. I'm really looking forward to it next week.
And yes, my sister will be in Sacramento. She doesn't miss a thing. And she goes on her own dime. And she's always there because she knows how important this is to what she does for a living. So yeah, she'll be there. You don't have to worry about my family. My family shows up to everything on her own dime. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching the show today. If we offended you, you deserve it. Have a great day. Turn off the news. They're all lying. This is the only place you get the truth. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a great day. Hopefully, the great Kelly girl will join us tomorrow, and then Tim Ekstrom will be with us on Friday.